Do you ever feel like you're stuck in a loop? Why is it that no matter how much you analyze a feeling, it just stays? Why do you seem to find yourself in the same kind of relationship, just with a different person? Or what about that quiet, nagging voice in the back of your head that whispers you're either too much for people or somehow secretly not good enough? If you feel any of this, I want you to know something right now. Those patterns didn't start with you. They're echoes from a place that's deeper, older, and most of the time completely invisible to us. The brilliant psychologist Carl Jung had a powerful idea about this. He said that anything from our childhood that we don't bring into the light of consciousness doesn't just go away. It becomes our fate. And sometimes the thing steering your life isn't a forgotten memory. It's a lie. A lie you never agreed to believe, but one you inherited. And until you dig it up and look it in the eye, it will silently run your life, dictating your sense of worth, your choices, and the very core of who you think you are. We're about to go deep today. So before we jump in, if you're ready for real conversations about your inner world, take a second to subscribe and become part of the mindful sphere. Make sure you hit that notification bell because we're not just scratching the surface here. Now, let's begin. Your childhood isn't a chapter you finished, it's a living, breathing blueprint inside of you. It's the architectural plan for how you connect with yourself, with love, and with the entire world. Jung didn't see the inner child as just a cute concept. He saw it as a powerful archetype, a living symbol of our purest potential, our deepest vulnerability, and our most formative memories. And for so many of us, that inner child is still operating in survival mode. Think about it. From day one, we are masters of adaptation. We learn the emotional weather of our home. If love and attention were given out as rewards for being good, we learn to perform. If expressing big feelings led to conflict or being ignored, we learn to swallow them. Your nervous system didn't sit around waiting for a logical explanation. It learned from a parent's tone of voice, from the tension in a room, from a reassuring touch, or from the painful lack of one. And this constant adaptation carved pathways in your brain, ways of being that you now call your personality, but which are actually brilliant self-protection strategies. What makes these patterns so hard to break later on? It's because they don't feel like something you learned, they feel like you. And modern neuroscience now shows us exactly what Jung knew intuitively. Our brains physically wire themselves around our earliest relationships. So a child who learns that being quiet is the only way to keep the peace doesn't just act quiet. On a fundamental level, they become silence. This is why true personal growth can sometimes feel like a terrifying loss. You're not just changing a few bad habits. You are being asked to untangle your entire identity from the armor that once kept you safe. And that armor wasn't wrong. It was necessary. But the price was your most authentic self. Jung called this split the birth of our shadow, all the parts of ourselves we had to hide away to be accepted. And right there, in that shadow, is where the lie took root. So let's turn on the lights. To survive emotionally, every one of us crafted a mask. Jung called it the persona. This is the version of you that was acceptable, the one that got praise, earned love, or was at least able to avoid trouble. The good student, the funny friend, the responsible one. But here's the catch. Every time you put on that mask, you had to push a real part of yourself into the darkness. Your righteous anger, your tender needs, your wild creativity, your true voice. The persona isn't a lie. It's just not the whole truth. It's the highlight reel you had to play to navigate childhood with the least amount of pain and rejection. The problem is we grow up and forget we're even wearing it. We mistake the mask for our actual face. And so we become adults who feel secretly empty, chronically exhausted or profoundly disconnected, wondering who we really are underneath all the achieving, the people-pleasing, and the performing. The real tragedy is that these survival strategies don't feel like armor anymore. They feel like character traits. The child who had to suppress their needs becomes the low-maintenance adult. The child who had to hide their fear becomes the strong one who never asks for help. And the world often applauds these performances. But underneath there's a constant low-grade hum of anxiety, because these traits aren't born from authentic choice. They're born from fear. Jung believed that when we lose touch with the full spectrum of who we are, we lose access to our deepest inner wisdom, what he called the self. And instead of living from a place of inner truth, we end up living in reaction, constantly trying to guess what others need us to be. This disconnection prepares the soil for the lie that isn't spoken but is felt in your bones. And now, we're ready to name it. The ugliest lie you were taught to believe. The most damaging lie you learned as a child wasn't a sentence someone yelled at you. It wasn't written on a blackboard. It was an atmosphere. It was a feeling you absorbed over and over in 1,000 small moments. And the lie was this: you, in your truest, most unfiltered form, are not worthy of love. Not because someone said those exact words, but because you learned that love, safety, and belonging were conditional. You were praised for being quiet, but dismissed for being too emotional. You were celebrated for your achievements, but ignored when you were struggling. Bit by bit, the lesson was programmed into you. I must hide or change parts of myself to be safe and loved. This belief isn't just an idea, it's biological. Your body holds the score even when your conscious mind has forgotten the game. It's why you feel a knot in your stomach before speaking your truth. It's why you over-apologize, over-give in relationships, or chase an impossible standard of perfection. It's why you have a deep-seated fear of being a burden. It all traces back to that foundational lie. Your worth is not inherent. It must be earned. This is the core wound. And the journey of healing is about facing it. Not just to remember the past, but to finally reclaim all the precious parts of yourself you had to leave behind to survive. If this is landing with you, take a moment to hit the like button. It's a small click, but it tells the algorithm that this conversation matters, helping it reach others who might be feeling this way alone. Thank you for that. Now let's talk about the way out, the path back to you. Carl Jung's vision of healing wasn't about fixing yourself because you are not broken. It was about becoming whole. He believed true healing wasn't about self-improvement, but about self-recovery. He famously warned that the modern person doesn't suffer from a lack of tools or techniques, but from a profound lack of meaning and connection to our own feelings, our inner voice, and our true nature. For Jung, real healing meant courageously returning to the self, that deep, wise center of your being that holds both your light and your shadow. And this kind of healing doesn't turn you into a new person. It helps you remember the person you were before the world told you who you should be. This process, which he called individuation, is the brave and steady work of integrating all the parts you disowned. The angry child, the needy child, the too loud one, the terrified one. These aren't your weaknesses. They are the lost keys to your wholeness. You begin to heal the moment you stop trying to get rid of these parts. When you stop trying to be good and give yourself permission to be real. That is how you dismantle the lie, not with logic but with lived experience, by allowing yourself, maybe for the first time, to take up space, to rest without guilt, to say no without a long explanation, to let yourself feel and express the very emotions you were taught to silence. This isn't a quick fix, but it is a true path. And every single time you choose presence over perfection, authenticity over performance, you are breaking the generational spell. You are choosing yourself, not the mask, not the role you were assigned, but the full, messy, beautiful human being underneath. You do not need to earn your worth. You never did. The ugliest lie loses all its power the moment you see it for what it is. The moment you realize it was never about you being flawed. It was about others being unable to handle the fullness of your humanity. That was never your fault, but your healing. That is your birthright and your responsibility. So now the invitation is simple. Let's break the silence together. If any part of this video resonated with you, share it in the comments below. What was the part that spoke to you the most? Your story, your single sentence could be the light someone else needs to see they are not alone. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to Mindful Sphere for more content that honors the depth and complexity of your journey. We're here to do the real work, together. You deserve to be whole. You always have. Thank you for being here today. I'll see you in the next one.